Hello, everybody. It's Dave Neal, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. And we have Arie Jr. and his wife, Lauren, on the Unplanned podcast, talking about all things Bachelor. I'm going to go short of calling it an interesting interview, but it's funny to see these Arizona celebrities going at it here. So we've got this couple, Matt and Abby Howard. They've only done 15 episodes of this podcast, and they already have 278,000 subscribers because they are social media sensations. So they're only 23 or I guess this is last year, 23 and 24 years old. Abby and Matt have been social media sensations with 4.7 million TikTok followers, 2.34 million YouTube subscribers, and 15,000 followers on Instagram. They met in the 8th grade, and after dating long distance all throughout high school, eventually married their sophomore year of college. So there it is. Talk about a different upbringing than what you would get on The Bachelor. So it's kind of fun to see this young, naive couple be asking questions about kissing multiple women. But let's hear what Arie Jr. has to say. Also in this video, they reveal, which they may have mentioned this before, but it was never a big storyline, how they met before the show, Lauren and Arie. They had met before the show. I don't know if it's because his season was like 5 or 6 years ago, but I wonder if in today's world it would have been a bigger deal if we found out they met before the show. Either way, let's have a listen.
You guys are happily married, like have 3 children, like I don't know. It's crazy that, I don't know, when I thought about The Bachelor, I was like, oh yeah, none of those couples work out, but like you guys clearly did work out. So that's really cool.
Yeah, I think we are rare.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just looked today because there's like a post that came up because a couple broke up, and I think there's 5 of 25 seasons.
Holy.
Do you think that Arie pops a bottle of champagne every time another couple breaks up? They clearly know and hey, he's not wrong. They're one of the most successful couples if we're measuring success by being married with kids. They're one of the most successful couples to ever come from the show.
Bachelor.
25.
And he'll let you
There's a
know.
lot of spin-offs. There's a Bachelorette.
Yeah.
I told Matt, I said I don't think those count because
There's
they're
Paradise.
the odds of because then there's like the same amount of girls as boys, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, on Paradise,
Paradise.
yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
yours is more impressive.
Yeah. Does that feel like it was another lifetime ago? Like that whole thing?
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, our reality is so different from
Yeah, could you imagine Arie? He's changing diapers, he's picking, poop off the walls, and he's like, I was just, dating 30 women.
the show now, so it's kind of weird to even think we were ever there.
Did
Yeah,
you guys
well,
know each other before the show, or did you like meet on the show?
We met before the show.
Oh, you
Whoa,
did?
whoa.
Yeah.
So this is where, look, guys, I'm probably wrong when I'm saying this wasn't news that was already broken, but it feels like I've never heard this before. That they just, we met before the show.
It wasn't
But we
like
didn't really know each other.
right. We just met at the racetrack and took a picture together. And I was dating somebody at the time. We had no idea that I was going to be the Bachelor. I had no idea. She didn't know
I
that
didn't
she
know
was
I
going
was
on the
going to be on the
show.
show.
It just feels like Arie has all green lights. You know what I mean? He's the son of a famous race car driver. So he gets into race car driving and then randomly meets a hot blonde. She ends up on his show. You know what I mean? Very interesting.
And then what was it, like 6 months later?
I think it was
Something
only
like
3 months later. Yeah, so
Yeah.
3 months later, he had been removed from the show for 5 years. And then I went to a casting randomly because my friends talked me into it. And
Okay.
they were like, you're going to be on the show. Watch Good Morning America to find out who the Bachelor is. So I'm watching Good Morning America, and then he walks out.
So you mean to tell me you randomly meet a guy who is on The Bachelor in a country of 330 million people, and then weeks later you recruit yourself to be on The Bachelor not knowing it's going to be him? I don't know, guys. Seems a little fishy to me.
And it was just like the
Wow.
craziest
Whoa.
coincidence because
Yeah.
I was expecting it to be one of the guys from the season before.
Whoa.
And then it just happened to be the guy I met.
Yeah, how were you
Yeah.
the Bachelor 5 years later?
I don't even really know, to be honest. I feel like
So he tells a story about how, okay, you know what? I'll let him tell it.
what happened was there was a producer in the house who I really clicked with, and he became the executive producer. And he'd always been trying, like, lobbying for me to be the Bachelor. And he's like, hey, if I ever become the EP, like, you're the guy. And so I don't know, like, what exactly happened behind the scenes, but there was this other front runner. His name was Peter. And there was some sort of controversy over a contract. And last minute, I would say 2 weeks before filming, they dropped him, and then they put me
2
in.
weeks.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So
It's almost anti-union of Ari. By the way, Mrs. B here, Jen says that she brought the picture. Okay, clearly I just don't remember that happened. But either way, still fun to relive in a barrel scraping season. So Ari gets cast. He describes how he got cast on The Bachelor. But how he got cast on The Bachelorette was that he randomly ran into an ex-girlfriend of his who was then a casting person who put him on. So very interesting stuff right there. Let's go over to the 6:40 mark and then we'll keep the conversation going.
been on stuff where I'm like, oh man, they edited that so cool. Like, I'm glad they did that. Or you
Yeah.
know, how they did that was so like awesome. And then
Yeah.
I've been on like The Bachelor where I'm like, wow, well, they really did me no favors there, you know, because it's like, it's interesting, like where you fit in reality TV. It's all about like a storyline. So
Yeah.
like if you're the good guy or like the runner up or
Yeah.
like somebody to root for, you're just going to get this like magical edit. But if you're villainized or if you're
Or if they're trying to hide something.
yeah, it's interesting. Like as soon as we got together post show, the editing changed. It was like episode 3 or 4. And I'm like, uh-oh, this is looking dark. Remember that?
I don't really remember.
I do. Clearly. It was like because they they finish the season and then they start editing everything. So they don't
Really?
edit as they go.
Really?
They have
so-
to see how it ends so that they can tailor it to
That's good storytelling,
what they want
though.
people to
It's a good way to do it. I mean, by the books, they have a story arc, and yeah, of course, as we know, that's how it works. All right. I don't know. This guy cracks me up in all the nice ways. Yeah, I'm sure they're good young little family.
Like they're just cast for who they are and making good TV. Like I always thought like there's a head of casting, her name's Lacey, and I was like, you know, Lacey's gonna match me with somebody because she knows me.
Yeah.
But then I was like, wait a second, I don't think they really care.
They just
No,
want
yeah,
good
it's
personalities.
just about good TV, exactly.
It's about who's gonna make good TV.
But then how did okay, here's my question though. If people aren't cast for a specific person, then all these girls going on The Bachelor, like why did they randomly all decide they like this guy? You know? Like how does that happen?
I think it's just like this competitive angle. It's
Really?
like you're a hot commodity, so like everyone just wants that one guy. He's the only guy there. It's like the
Wow.
last man on earth, you know?
wow, yeah. And you don't have your phones and like are they
All right. So anyway, there's Ari, her husband, last man on earth. I'm just gonna go to 11:10. Let's go to 11:25. Keep this party going.
reality TV, and I had actually dated somebody who was in local news when I was like 20, and she ended up becoming a producer for The Bachelor. And I had just randomly ran into her at a coffee shop, and she said, "Oh, hey, it's been so long." I'm like, "Oh, what do you do now?" She's like, "Oh, I'm a producer for The Bachelor." And I was like, "Well, I'm single, so if you need me." It was kind of like joking. And then she called me a couple weeks later and was like, "Hey, do you want to be on Bachelorette?" And I was like, "Sure, let's do it." So it was really cool actually because it was so like by chance, you know?
Yeah, like
was
organic,
interesting.
I
His
guess.
ex-girlfriend.
We're having fun today. This is fun. All right. So yeah, his ex-girlfriend. She's the one who you can thank for your relationship working out. All right. Let's go to the 15-minute mark. This is where we start to see the giddiness that our guy over here has. What's his name again? Our local media sensation, Matt. You can just see how giddy he gets when he's like, "So wait a second, you kissed multiple girls?"
back in time? I'm seeing you like make out with all these girls, and I'm like, is that like what is that like when you're the
Don't you, I'm laughing because every guy, maybe gal, has that friend who's like super naive and inquisitive. What's it like? You guys used oils in the bedroom? What's it like? Like you can just see how.
Just make
Matt
out with all the
genuinely
girls.
wants to know.
Question.
sorry? I
What
just
is
want to
that
know.
like, man? I mean,
He
at
was
first,
single.
okay, at
I
first,
mean, you're single. Yeah, you're single. So
okay,
like,
as single guy, at first, it's like so cool. You're like, this is like pretty rad, right?
it's pretty awesome. Yeah.
Like I basically,
It's pretty awesome.
This is like a cool experience. But
Yeah.
then,
This guy looks like the guy that brings out a guitar at the cookout, at the campfire. You know what I mean? He's got kumbaya energy. So Ari mentions, yeah, it's all fun and games till you got to start dumping these ladies. He's, I got a binder full of women. I got to reject them. HR has to be there. All right, so let's go to the part where Ari talks about how much it totally sucks to have to dump your fiance.
right, and we were all like sick. It was like we all got sick off whatever food they were feeding us over there, and so it was just like the last week was just like a real, obviously a tough one.
Yeah.
Yeah, for those of you that may not know, Ari proposed
I did.
to a girl that was not Lauren. What was the time gap between? Wait,
Coming back to
I
her?
don't remember the show as well right now. Like, how did the show end? And it was like you guys
Ari's like, let's not relitigate this, because you can imagine every time Lauren and Ari are in a fight, Lauren's like, why don't you just go back to Becca?
were gonna get married, or how did it resolve?
No,
like,
no. I think like in the show they build in to where you see.
I love that rather than letting Ari tell you what happened as he was there, they're trying to remember it.
You see the proposal, and then
Oh,
they
you
have
see you change
and they
your
have
mind.
Ari.
Yeah, they're like a couple that tells you. Don't you hate it when a couple will tell you what a movie's all about? Well, there's this giant dinosaur. Honey, you didn't mention the lost ark of,
in like real time. We weren't watching in real time. It was like you in real time, and then
Yeah.
you're with like Lauren, right? And it's like, okay, this is actually what happened, and they like play back all the.
We've actually
Everything.
never seen the ending, so we
Yeah,
don't
we
know
never
what it looks
watched
No
it.
way. So you just didn't watch it because you're just like, you know what?
Too close
Been
to
there.
home.
Don't.
Yeah.
We
Not
were
too
still in
traumatized.
it, at that point.
Let's start a GoFundMe to get them to watch the ending, and we'll watch them watch the ending. Just see Ari walking around in an Airbnb, just dumping Becca nonstop.
We had to go on after the final rose, and everyone had just watched the ending, so we mentally just couldn't handle watching it and then going on to
Oh
talk
my
about
gosh.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was bad. I knew it was going to be bad, but it was really bad. As
It
far
was
as
worse
like,
than we thought that it would be.
Like, how
Yeah.
so?
Well, I think obviously you make that call, obviously you don't feel good about what you did. You're like, shoot, I shouldn't have made that decision, or I need more time, or why did I do that? And I think the biggest thing is like when I was like, nope, I'm gonna call Lauren. I'm gonna see if I can work it out with her. Then I like clued production in on it, and that was I thought that would be good for us because I thought they could help tell a story, and it just kind of backfired really.
Yeah, it turned into the story being about the next season, like propelling it into being successful rather than highlighting the story that was already there,
Hey, Lauren, no shit. Are you kidding me? The story becomes Becca Kufrin, damsel in distress, overcoming your guy. Now, she got the guy. Like, Lauren gets the guy, right? But Ari has to, lick the ring and take it off of Becca's finger. And Becca's like, no. And she's like, give it to me. Give it to me now. Just Crisco on it, If anyone ever shakes your hands with Crisco, be careful. They're about to steal that ring. Neal Lane's like, we need it for the next year. Money's tight. Give us the diamond. Give us the diamond. So anyway, I digress. Lauren's like, they made the whole thing about, him breaking some woman's heart. That's exactly what they did. No one cares about your relationship. If it bleeds, it leads.
Wow.
Yeah, they kind of pitched it as like, we're gonna romanticize this. Like, she was a person you were always supposed to be with, so we're gonna watch you run back to her, and then it's gonna let people know like why
Yeah.
you made the decision.
Yeah.
And then they kind of cut all that out, and then they just like aired like a super long breakup scene.
Yeah.
And then it was like cut to Lauren, and now we're together, and people were just like, what?
really
Yeah.
confused. Yeah.
They're like, what?
Yeah.
So I think they kind of, in hindsight, we should have just done that all privately.
Yeah. And so it could have been like you ended up with Becca on the show, and then people end up finding out, oh, he actually ended up with Lauren, and
I
it's
don't
not
know.
on the show.
Yeah.
Because I like watching that, I felt bad for you. I was like, this sucks to where like he has no control over what they're pushing out. They're gonna just tell the narrative that makes them the most money and boost the viewership. And they did a great job. They really did. I mean, like
Yeah,
on
probably.
their end, like they're like, yeah, like screw Ari, let's just do whatever's gonna get us more views.
I love how aware this guy is. He's like, hey, it's a good storytelling idea. They did a good job. And he's right. Look, the show doesn't have your back. Now, the show didn't do a good job of telling the Ari and Lauren love story. And I hate to say that that's the risk you take, because you guys know I like champion, for the most part, reality stars to get the justice that they need. But at the same time, I mean, Ari's had every privilege from, the second he was born, he was, on the third baseline. And he thought body hit a triple, but you were just born there, bud. And oh, come on, he's doing just fine. The prices of avocados are a little high, but he can use some of that government subsidy he has to cover it. All right, folks, that's going to do it. A real trifecta of content for me here. I will have more this afternoon, and tomorrow we will have the exclusive interview of Katie Thurston in my Driving with Dave that Katie did with me, only on Bachelor Rush Hour, the afternoon podcast. So see us over there every afternoon, bachelorrushhour.com. We'll be back after this.